How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to give you a quick update on how these stage 3 upgrades have been going and what else I've learned along the way on top of the testing that I've been doing. I still have a lot more testing to do, especially when it comes to the counter steer mod. I'll eventually get to that video where I go through every single gear ratio that I'm going to try for the counter steer mod. But right now I'm just going to give you a quick update on how things are going. The weights are definitely one of the things I've been doing a lot of testing with so far, and weight distribution on these little cars is definitely a big factor on how this thing is going to perform. I've been trying like a lot of different variations where I have more weight in the back and less weight in the front, or more weight in the front, less weight in the back, and it's been really tough to figure out exactly what I like the most. I'm also driving on a very difficult floor or surface, I guess you could say, that it's hard for me to really get a good lock on what I like. I have to try different tires and weights because it's a garage floor that's semi-glossy, yet it has rough patches here and there, so it's kind of inconsistent to get the kind of performance I want that's like the same all around. But so far I've tried like LF1 tires, and I've really tried all kinds of tires, but LF1 tires seem to be one of the better types of tires to use on that surface, while I've actually been trying these tires I got from, I think, Wolfram RC, but they are originally Atomic wheels, which I guess RC Atomic makes them. But so far these have been doing really good on this floor. I have the 3.0 camber on the rear and then the curved ones in the front, and it seems like the texture of these wheels is actually pretty good for that surface that I'm driving on, and it seems to get just good enough grip while also having just a little bit of slipperiness to it, so I can still throw the back end out and everything. And then adding the weights to really make a difference. If I'm not getting enough control on the front end, I can add or take away weight, and that can help me lock in the front better. And then if I want to maybe get the back end to throw out more or less, I add or take away weight to the back end. Right now I actually still have the counter steer, the 1.25 ratio in here, which, to be honest, so far I like that one the best. I have tried the 1.5. I haven't done a real lot of testing with the 1.5 yet to really say if I like the 1.25 that much better than the 1.5. I have not really had time to test out the 1.75 or the 2.0 gear ratios. To be honest, I don't think I'm really going to like them, because it already seemed like the 1.5 gear ratio was almost throwing the back end around too much. But then again, I could maybe change how bad that is with adding weight and changing out tires or something. Maybe I could help mitigate that. But so far 1.25 is like just the right amount of I guess you could say throw for the back end that I want. It's not too much or too little. It's like the right amount, and then adding weight to it also changes the performance of it depending on where I put the weights and everything. And then of course whatever tires I'm running also has a big change on the performance too. So I've been trying different combinations and seeing what I like the most, because it's been very difficult to get like exactly locked in the way I want on this floor. But so far I've liked this setup the most. This is what I'm running on the R34 at the moment. The R33, I've been testing the LF1 tires, and the LF1 tires have been doing pretty good, but I don't know, I feel like these Atomic wheels are better, at least for what I'm driving on, than these LF1s are. The LF1s almost seem still too a little bit slippery, even though they're made to handle like a slippery surface. But I don't know, it seems to be a little bit harder to get these tuned in compared to these wheels. And as you can see, I have rounded, curved wheels in the front with the 4-degree camber. So it seems like these round wheels do really well with the 4-degree camber. I mean, they work okay with the LF1s, but it just seems like I'm getting more control in the front end with these. Like I said, one on the garage floor that I'm driving on. And then these wheels here seem to do pretty good as well, because it's a 1.75 degree rear knuckle And these are 3.0 degree tires, which they don't honestly match, but it doesn't really matter. It seems like they get pretty good surface area grip exactly where they're supposed to, so I seem to have okay control in the back end with those. So with these wheels and the weight distribution and then the 1.25 counter steer, it's driving you know, pretty decent on the garage floor. It probably would drive a lot better on hardwood floor or you know, maybe even carpet and this and that if I tried some different tires on carpet, but for now, for what I'm testing on, this is what I have to do for a garage floor. And I've tried, you know, weights, whether it's, you know, a lot of weight in the back or a lot of weight in the front, and then just testing back and forth. And I'm still in the middle of testing all that, so I can't really say for sure what I really like, but so far I seem to like at least 2 of these 14-gram weights in the front, and then like 1 in the back. And I've tried them all the way out at the ends, and I've tried them all the way, you know, towards the middle of the car as well to see how it performs with, you know, depending on where I put the weight. And it does make a difference if I do put the weight in line with the wheels compared to putting the weights out in front or behind the wheels. So it seems like the front end needs a little bit along, like on the wheels here, and then a little bit out in front, while just a little bit of weight along, like, you know, in line with the wheels. I don't really need it all the way out here like I've tried. It seems to do pretty good so far. The X-Speed motor, I broke that in. I did a good job of breaking it in. I took my time with it, just, you know, ran a couple packs at like 25, 50%, and then slowly worked my way up to 100 eventually, and it seems to be doing pretty well. It's definitely a little bit faster than the stock brushed motor, so I'm happy with that upgrade. Hopefully I'm not doing too much damage or working it too hard. It seems fine. It doesn't seem like it gets overheated too much, even with the counter steer mod and the extra weight that I'm adding to it, because I'm, you know, making it a lot heavier, so I'm hoping that the motor doesn't get overworked with the extra weight I'm adding to it. But these Mini Zs sometimes seem to be a little bit too light, you know, depending on what you're driving on. So adding a little bit of weight here and there seems to kind of help that out. And let's see what else. So yeah, the counter steer, like I said, I'll go through all the different ratios eventually, but it seems like 1.25 will be the one I stick with. And my interchanging counter steer upgrade idea is actually working pretty well. Like, it's sitting on there just with friction, and it doesn't seem to affect it at all. It sounds good, doesn't have any you know, problem spinning or anything. It's not getting caught or whatever. It's not coming off, it's not coming loose, nothing like that. So it seems this method is actually not too bad. I have to redo the 1.5 little gear, because the other one I did that I glued on, it wasn't exactly as perfect as, say, these have actually come out with the interchangeable. So I'm probably going to redo the 1.5 as an interchangeable one, because this one is not interchangeable with the other, like the other 3 are. So I actually super glued this one on, and to be honest, I don't think it's as perfect as I would like. So I'm just gonna make another one of the 1.5 that I can just use as an interchangeable one. So all of them are interchangeable, which is pretty much what I wanted in the beginning, but I didn't come up with this idea until after I decided to do the gluing of this one. So this one's permanently glued, while the other 3 are interchangeable. So I want to have all 4 of them interchangeable if I ever change my mind. I just want to keep trying different things. So far 1.25 is performing the best for what I like. 1.5 almost seemed like it was going to be a little bit too much, like too much throw in the back end. So 1.75 and 2.0 might be a little bit way too much. So I don't really know yet until I start testing them, but so far I like the 1.25 the most out of, you know, what I've tried. And these little weights definitely help out too. Like I'm happy that I can like add and take off weight here and there to really just kind of change performance without having to do anything else. It's pretty easy to just tape and then untape these little things, just take them off and then see how it performs. So that's something that it's really cheap and easy to add onto this thing, and then you can get different performance depending on where you put them. So that's pretty much how the update is going. As you can see, I finished painting these bodies. That was definitely fun, I guess you could say. It was a pain in the ass, to be honest, but this one I definitely went all out with like a 2-tone, well 3-tone, so I even did a little black stripe here. And first I had to paint this thing, well, this is candy lime green, so I had to paint pretty much most of it candy lime green. And then I taped over the areas that I wanted to leave green. And then after I taped it, here's some tips that I don't know if you guys never really painted these bodies, that helps out. So after I tape it, I spray over where I taped again with the same color, so it kind of seals the area where the tape is, so there won't be any bleed through. So when you change to the next color, it won't like maybe seep along that line, because you'll have a layer of, you know, the color you originally used over that tape now a little bit to help keep the paint from bleeding into the other paint. So I did that, and to be honest, the best tape to use for this is the Tamiya tape. I had some other hobby tapes that are like this that honestly don't do as good as what this stuff can do. Like, definitely, you know, invest in these little tapes from Tamiya if you're gonna do any of these little, like, either stripes or two-tones or whatever you're gonna be doing with designs. This stuff is pretty good at adhering to the body and not allowing paint to really creep through. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect. It seemed like it worked pretty good for me. There's different widths too, like that's a 3mm width. You can get like 1, 2, 3, up to like, you know, whatever, 10, 20mm width, depending on how big you need the tape to be. And then did the same thing in the front with the stripes. And then after I taped it, I went over everything with gunmetal, so just regular gunmetal. And then after that, I taped again after the gunmetal to do black stripes. Just a little bit of black striping, just here and here, and then along here on the side, just to basically, you know, have a third color in between the two colors too. Just in case there was any imperfections, you know, I felt like maybe I should do black. And honestly, it came out fine with the green, and gunmetal didn't really have any imperfections, but I decided to go over where they were with black anyway. And then the wing, I just did green on the side fins and kept the majority of the gunmetal. And also I smoked out the taillights and the headlights, which that also was a pain. So I first tried doing the smoke with let's see, this stuff and use a little paintbrush, but honestly didn't like how this stuff worked. So it would be a little bit too liquidy, and it would kind of pool. If it's sitting upside down, it would just pool to the center or the middle of it, and it would just leave a darker area in that spot. And then you can't, I mean, you could try to go back over it again too, but it starts to get really tacky and sticky, and it never really seemed to dry the way I wanted it to where if you like waited a day or so and touched it, it would leave a fingerprint in there and everything on it. So I didn't really like how that stuff was. So I tried that out first, and eventually I just wiped it off with alcohol. So if you're gonna want to remove any paint without destroying any of the plastic, especially if it's clear plastic, which is really easy to destroy if you use the wrong chemicals, really. If you use something that's got like acetones or something in it, it'll eat the clear plastic, and it'll fog it up and make it look, you know, like crap. So if you just use like 91% alcohol, probably even 70% would work fine too. But I was using 91% alcohol, and then I just wiped it away, and it would just wipe away clean eventually, where it looked like the way it did, you know, from factory, without like knowing that I even tried to do anything to it. Same with the white plastic. If you wanted to redo, you could just use alcohol to remove any of the paint, and it won't really hurt the plastic, and you can just start over again. So I ended up getting the spray. Let's see, do I have a can? No, it's over here now. But I got the spray can version of the smoke, and just sprayed that. And I didn't do it on the outside for the headlights. I did it on the inside. So I sprayed the inside, and then that's why it looks nice and glossy on the outside still, like you wouldn't even tell that I painted it. While the taillights, you can't do that. You have to actually spray the outside of them, which sucks. But if I try to spray the backside of them, they wouldn't come out looking like these do. They would look like they were still red and this and that. So that's what I had to do for the headlights and taillights to make them smoked out. And I painted the little GTR thing with a chrome pen, which This stuff is pretty good. It looks just like chrome, and it's just a liquid pen. And I had 3 different pens with different size tips. So this is good if you want to like ever paint some small details with chrome. These little chrome pens work pretty good. I found those on Amazon. So yeah, that's how the R33 went. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. So, you know, I had some green. I had 1 can of green and like 1 can of gunmetal, and usually you need at least like two cans of paint to really finish these bodies, especially if you have like wings and other things you need to paint other than just the body. 1 can is usually just not enough. So, and I didn't feel like buying another green and another gunmetal and stuff, so I just ended up doing a 2-tone where I did half of it green, half of it gunmetal, and I barely got it done with what I had. It was just enough. So if you ever do these, it'd be good to invest in at least 2 cans of paint with whatever colors you're going, whatever you're doing, so you have enough. Because if you don't have enough, it might leave some white areas, or just, you know, it'll look kind of blotchy. It won't be thick enough to where it, you know, comes out good. And then of course I put a light clear coat over it, and then I polished the clear coat after that as well. And then to do the clear coating, I used the Tamiya compounds, like the fine and the finish. So you use this first, you just put it on a rag or something, and then just go over everything. Well, first I sanded the whole body after I clear coated it with like 3000 grit sandpaper. I usually wet sand it first, make sure you get the clear coat as smooth as possible, and then come in with this stuff, and then wipe this stuff all over it with a rag and rub it in all over everywhere. And then after that, you come in with this stuff, and this is the finishing compound that makes it nice and like waxy looking. So that stuff's really good. And you can see I did a pretty deep clear coat job on this one. I put, what is it, the Tester's color shift on it. So it's purple and blue color shift. So, you know, whatever angle you look at it, it changes color. I really like this kind of paint. They only have so many different options of, you know, color combinations, but this one's called Purple Sunrise, and I like it a lot, but I don't want to use it on everything. So I have this paint on one of my McLarens, and then I'm just going to do this on the Skyline, and that's probably all I'm going to use it on. And then I have some other colors like blue and turquoise, and some other ones too that I'm going to do on some bodies. So I'll show you those later when I'm done. But I did the same thing. I smoked the headlights out, and the taillights, of course. So pretty happy with how those came out. I also added, obviously, lights, like the headlights and the taillights, and then I added some fog lights too. So this one's got 2 white headlights and 2 blue headlights, and then 2 blue fog lights. And of course, just red taillights with the smoke paint. But yeah, I put a decent amount of clear coat on this one, and then, you know, polished it down to where it came out nice and shiny. Because you really want to have a really deep layer of clear coat on this kind of paint, so it has that depth to it, and it comes out, you know, looking pretty good. I put some of that chrome paint on the mirrors, it'll focus. So it's like almost like, you know, pretty reflective stuff. So that's what I did with that. But this stuff I have to paint the whole car black first, because this paint needs a black base coat to make it really look good and pop out like it does if you use, you know, a different color, especially if it was like a bright color, like if it was white or whatever, it would not look like this. It wouldn't come out looking right. So it needs like at least a black. I mean, you could maybe do a gray base coat, but it wouldn't come out as good as this. It really needs to be black. So first I have to paint it all black, and then I paint it over with the color shift. And I had to put a lot of it on here to really get it in there, get it in all the crevices and stuff. So yeah, that was you know, a pain, but it came out looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy. So of course I glued on this lip because the body doesn't come with this lip on here. So that came out pretty good. And of course I put a little bit of epoxy over it so it's nice and strong. If I ever crash into anything, it shouldn't even really phase this thing. And I added the side skirts as well. And you know about the hood bonnet up here. Added that guy on. So it came out pretty good. And then the spoiler, I designed and 3D printed myself and covered it with epoxy. So that's the end result. And then added the headlights, fog lights, tail lights, and then the digital LEDs around here too. So it's the same on both bodies. So I got this on a little display thing I 3D printed. But it's 2 white headlights and then the green fog lights and then the red tail lights. And of course, I got the digital LEDs underneath for the underglow. So yeah, that's how these bodies came out. You know, like I said, pretty happy with the way they turned out. So that's the update on how the stage 3 has been going and how the bodies have finally come out after being painted, you know, after a few weeks or a few months of working on them, really. Also, I did these wheels for the R33. I did chrome at first with the chrome pen, and then like when I was touching them, the chrome stuff was still getting kind of messed up. It was getting dull over time, so I said screw it and just decided to do the spokes green to kind of match the body. And yeah, I actually don't have any more paint, so I did those with green Sharpie, believe it or not. So these came out pretty good. And I'm doing wide tires in the back with narrow tires in the front. These are actually the R35 tires, or wheels. So the rims are from the R35 body that I have. Because the ones that come stock with this don't actually fit right anymore, just like the rims on the original rims that came with this, the R34, don't fit right anymore either because of the camber. So the back wheels kind of tilt in, same with the front, and so they both tilt in, so I actually need wider tires to make up for that distance. Otherwise, they kind of sink in too far into the wheel well and they don't look right. So you need a little bit more offset. So luckily the R35 wide tires looked really good on the R33, but they don't fit right on the R34. They only fit on the R33. So they won't fit on the R35 when I'm done with it, because I'm going to add a wide body kit to it. So I'm actually going to need to use a wider offset set of wheels for the R35 when I'm done with that one. So since I won't be using these for the R35, they are now the R33's rims. And I mean, having wide tires in the back doesn't really seem to make a difference. It might work a little bit better than narrow, but to be honest, this setup has been driving, I feel like, a little bit better than this setup was with the wide tires in the back. It's mainly because of the tire material themselves. But yeah, so I'm still gonna be doing a lot more testing to figure out exactly what I like and what is like the best, you know, out of everything. Because right now it's hard for me to figure out what I like. I'm still doing a lot of different things to see, you know, what I really want this thing to be doing. So far I am happy with how it's driving though. So hope you guys learned something. I know I'm dragging this one out again. All my videos seem to get a little bit too long because I just keep talking. So I'm sorry about that. I do have some other projects that I will be covering, like my WLToys K969 rebuild that I'm doing. I'm going to be putting these, what do you call it? These MA-020 wide racing bodies on it. And I need to be low profile to be able to fit these bodies on here. And so far, you know, I'm not completely done. I'm still in the process of finishing this thing because I got so many different things going on. But so far, it's starting to look pretty good. So yeah, the tires will have, you know, like almost 90-degree steering angle. I'm still working on those though, I gotta finish them. And then I had to change the whole, the suspension system and everything to be low enough to even fit underneath this hood here because it's so low profile. So I think the 12C GT3 body is probably the lowest hood out of all the bodies I'm gonna be trying. I'm also gonna have the P1 GTR on here and a bunch of other MA-020 bodies that are low profile, a lot of my McLaren bodies and stuff I wanna run on this thing so I can have them as drift cars, not just race cars. So that's another project I will be showing off. I'll probably do a bunch of different videos on each section of what I'm doing. So this design I've been 3D printing. I don't have the little arms on it right now, so these wheels are just gonna kind of rotate around, but you can see, you know, what kind of range they're gonna have. But yeah, still working on it though. It's got a few more things I got to do, but this design seems to be what I might stick with. It's almost kind of like how the MA-020 arms are, but not MA-020, the MA-020 arms, where they go out in front, where they have the springs out here. So I kind of wanted to do something similar for this guy, so I put the springs here. I just made these little L-shaped brackets here to go to the springs out in front, so that my little steering arm here will have enough room to swing back and forth. So, but yeah, I gotta make the little arms here so I can connect them, which is the next thing I'm gonna do. I just gotta cut some little screws and then add the little ball heads and stuff to them, the cups, whatever you call them. And then I did the rear end. I had to make it nice and low profile. I did these little aftermarket shocks I found that were pretty cheap on AliExpress. I set them up to where they attach here, and then I attached them into the screw that goes through here. I changed it out to an M2 screw that goes all the way through. And then that's where the shocks, the top of the shocks go and the bottom. So the really low profile back bumper cars, like the P1 GTR has a pretty low rear end there. So I want that to be able to clear. So I'm thinking it will. So far the 12C GT3 body has no problem clearing, so I'll have to see if the P1 GTR clears no problem. And this screw won't be this high. This is just here in place right now. I added a screw through the middle to keep it together because I have to basically sacrifice these two spots because these springs get in the way. But yeah, I mean, it's coming out pretty good. I like it, you know, this seems to work. Same with the front end. So still working on it, still testing it, of course. But so yeah, once I'm done with this, I will, make multiple videos on what I did. I'm going to add a brushless motor in here, so that'll go in there. And then I'm doing metal gears and stuff. So these are metal instead of the plastic ones that they come with originally. So I'm trying to get rid of all that plastic stuff and go with this, see how it does. So yeah, and I also had to get a little metal gear servo because the plastic one had burnt out from the original because I was pushing that one hard with the steering mod that I had on there, and carbon fiber frame and everything. And I 3D print the tongues for the different bodies. So I have this little spacer here, and then I just print a little rectangle piece that's the length and the width that's needed for each body, and I just change out this little piece or change out the height of this if I need to, depending on how high or low the front end is, so I can make all the bodies fit no matter what without needing to use the little plastic tongue that they come with, because sometimes they don't line up correctly and they don't sit right in the wheel well. And also I need to make sure that these clear so they don't hit the wheel well in any way, and it seems like it's working so far. So once I'm done with this, like I said, I will make a bunch of videos on how I did everything. So that's an update on my WLToys K969. So if you guys are interested in that, just bear with me. I know I'm taking a lot of time getting videos out, but I just got, it's hard to do all this stuff. Life gets in the way. I got so many different projects with the MA-020, painting the bodies, the K969, and then I have drones and other stuff, other hobbies. It's hard to find time to do everything, So sorry for the long breaks in between videos. So just wanted to apologize for that. But thank you for your time, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day.